It's almost Christmas. Welcome to this week's episode. In today's episode, we are going to talk a little bit about some Strava KOMs, the 2023 Pro Team kits. Have we seen some professional cyclists riding with hairy legs? And finally, some mechanics highlights of 2022. All right, let's get into it. Right, I want to start us off today, Jesse, with some Pro Team kits 2023. And I'm going to make here's a hot take. Hot take, right? We're going to start with it.
I'm just taking this off, by the way.
Hot take. Okay, well, I'm leaving mine.
Okay.
I've done a deal with the kids. I'm running it the whole time. There's the elves back here. Okay, hot take. Here it comes. This is the title of today's video. 2023, the best year of professional cyclist kits ever. Discuss.
Yeah?
No? Okay. Well, look, generally, blue is clearly the new black. Thankfully, the gradient, Jesse Coyle, those who've been watching this channel for a little bit will know my rant on the gradient. The gradient has borderline disappeared completely from the professional tour. Fantastic news for gradient haters. Or how are we going to do this? Do you want to just do
So I got this article here,
okay,
cycling news article. They've gone through all the teams. So I reckon do you have this link up?
Yes.
I reckon go top to bottom. And, well, we're a podcast now, aren't we? So I'll give a brief explanation of the kit. And Chris, you tell me if we like it or not. So we're starting off Astana, Kazakhstan. It looks the same to me. I mean, is that a gradient there? So they transition. They've got their normal light blue and then they've got the darker blue at the bottom. It's like a triangular. Is that a fade? It's almost a fade.
There's a little bit of a fade going on, I must admit. We've gone some sort of like diamond thing to kind of move it from one to the other. Look, it's not worth spending a lot of time on. Move on. Next one.
I like it though. I'm a fan. Next one they've got here, Bahrain Victorious. Looks kind of similar, a little bit darker than last year. Kind of pops. What do you reckon?
Hasn't changed much. Move on.
What?
Next up.
No, I'm a fan. Blue band on the sleeve.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, it just hasn't changed much. That's all.
Goes.
No, I'm quite happy. Yeah.
Groupama FDJ.
Hit the brakes. Pump the brakes. Pump the brakes. Best kit in the tour.
Yep.
Best kit in the tour. Love this.
Okay.
Love it. Love the color blocking. Love the branding. There is absolutely no... You know who that kid is from a mile away. Love it. Yeah.
I'm a big fan too. Because this navy blue was kind of one of the coaching brand colors. Yep. And I'm like, it'd be nice if I could copy that. Like it's really, sick. I like it.
Love this. This is so pro. This is so French. Get around this. I'm going to run that. I don't know. Do I know anyone on FDJ? Get me that kit. Get me that kit. Next up.
Ineos Grenadiers have copied the Bahrain kit, it appears. Really.
Great to see the Saudi Middle Eastern lads all talking and got the same designer on board. Fantastic news. I think the only thing of note there is it's still BioRacer, by the looks, who are still their main sponsor.
No, I'm not a fan.
Move on.
Boring.
Next one.
It's like a crap version of the Bahrain kit.
Yep.
Israel Premier Tech.
Like a poor man's EF education first would be how I would describe this. This is... For want of a better term, try hard. I don't hate the fact they're trying something different, and so I'm not gonna give them too much hate. I like little pop of pink coming out the bottom, but as I said, a bit of an EF ripoff. Let's be honest.
Doesn't pop to me. It kind of because it's all faded in and tie dye. There's Taj Jones actually. He was a Nero rider. Look at him.
Yeah, there he is. Taj looking well.
Yeah. They tried.
Yeah, they tried.
The women's similar colour for the women's team. Yep. Jumbo-Visma. So this photo...
This is so cool.
We're going to leave this photo.
This is it.
You're going to have to blur this in the video because we're going to come back and we're going to pick that. So we'll leave that for now.
Okay.
Jumbo kit looks the same as last year.
Yeah.
Live Racing, another women's... I don't know the women's kits.
I don't mind this. I've seen this in real life a little bit. I'm not a big fan normally of like essentially a flower or something. It's a bit cliche for a women's team to kind of throw some flowers on things like that. But I think the way they've actually done this, I reckon it kind of looks cool. So I'm not against this. The only problem with that kit is just unfortunately the Women's Pro Tour has a lot of purple in it and kind of, I don't know what SD Works are doing yet. We'll get to that later on. but it kind of just sort of looks like some of the other purple kits. But yeah,
blended. I don't know what's going on with this. Look how high that collar looks. Maybe this is a sample from a factory.
That'll be fun. It'll be grand.
Lotto Disney, same as before, just with a blue trunk. Lotto, what is this team? Sudal Quick Step, they're called. Yeah.
That's the classic quick step look. Yeah, man, I throw Tommy Boonen in that kit and he wouldn't look out of place.
That's my number one kit. You know me, I love a logo kit.
And it's funny. Like I remember one of the sponsors that we dealt with, like they're still super old school with this stuff. Like they still really want that chest logo for the post-up celebration. It's like a big deal for some sponsors. So yeah, you know who the two sponsors are there when the post-up happens with will it be Cav? Will it be Jakobsen? We don't know. Not yet anyway.
Next up, Trek
Segafredo.
Semifredo.
So their women's kit has been, from me in the last few years, they're one of the top kits of the year. And what I've always really liked about this kit is the grey bib short. Big fan of it. It's always looked a bit pro to me, especially with the big Trek logo. They get away with not many logos on their kit just because they don't have many sponsors. Trek throw a lot of cash at them. And yeah, for me, not much has changed. The women's kit's probably just gone a bit backwards in that sense. But yeah, I'd happily run that.
I like that the women's team is different to the men's. It's like the men's red, the women's is blue, but it's the same design. I kind of rate that. And I like the sleeve, how the sleeves are totally different from the trunk.
Yep.
UAE Team Emirates, same as last year.
Same as last year.
Sleeves that pop.
Yep. Fun fact, they basically, UAE, but doing UAE things, they just invented their own cycling brand to do this. So they've basically bought an Italian brand called Pisi, which now just make their kits for them.
Oh, there it is.
Yep. So there you go. There's some.
Good.
That's what you do when you're Team UAE. You just buy a brand. Is that it?
That's it. That's the end.
Yeah, for me, a massive fan of FDJ. I think FDJ were my favourite last year as well. But yeah, I'll get around. There's a few missing there, like there Bora, and always keen to see what Bora come up with. They're one of my favourites. EF, always keen to see what they come up with. Haven't seen Mitchelton Scott or whatever we're calling the Saudi boys from Perth. Now, we can talk about that? Nah, it doesn't matter. No one cares. All right. Yeah, so there's a few missing there. Maybe we'll touch on those. But for me at the moment, it's FDJ.
Yep. I'll go Trek, my winner so far. Right.
Very good. Very good. Like let's keep rolling with a little professional talk then, Jesse, because I know something caught your eye during the week. Again, a little bit of 2 Down Under stuff, just because it's the first race of the year. Now, do you want to give a little backstory on this with how this happens? But it's a little bit to do with the wildcard teams that
the UniSA, yeah. So the for the 2 Down Under, the Australians are allowed to enter a national team because it's an Australian race. So UniSA sponsor a team every year. It's a good chance for developing riders in Australia to get a shot at a World Tour race. And it's basically it's Caleb Ewan and 6 other riders from the Australian track team to lead him out, basically. I guess that's okay for a racing point of view, but I just found it weird that a team that is basically funded by Oz Cycling and is a national domestic thing, that there's no selection criteria or application process. It's just a captain's pick, boys club, and then they just enter the team.
So can I ask a question here? Because I think this crosses a lot of boundaries. This isn't like just talking about Australian cycling or anything. Because if this was a different sport, for example, let's say this was, you have your rowing history, right? If this was a world event here in Australia and there was some Australian boats rowing, that's the right word, Chris. Yeah. How do you get selected? Like, is there a selection criteria for this?
It would be absolutely unheard of to just pick a team. Right. That would be illegal because you need to have a selection criteria because the selection process needs to be objective and fair. You can't. So yes, you would go and you would do a series of anyone could basically apply, and then you would run through a series of tests, which would be like a fitness testing, and then you would do seat racing, and you would try to come up with the objectively best team. So that is the complete polar opposite from what this is, which is just, hey, this is the people we want in the team. And to me, it looks like they just use it as a bit of a carrot. It's kind of like, hey, come into the track program, and this is one of their little carrots that they dangle to the riders to say, hey, we'll give you a start into it down under.
Okay, what, for example, if you wanted to get selected for this,
well, like, that's what I was looked at it and you
were like,
yeah,
I'm riding well. I'm gonna have a crack. Like, do you need to know someone?
It's gonna sound
how does this work?
Well, I don't know. I honestly have no idea. I'm like, well, what if I did want to get selected? I don't want to get selected for that, but what if I did? Okay. Or what if I coached a rider that I thought was good enough to get on there? How? And I was, that's an Australian team thing. Oh, that means it should be fair and there should be an application. No, nothing. Absolutely nothing. They just pick it, which I just find that's just the way it's been like that for a few. This was more in the last years. I think they've sometimes looked at nationals, which is a few weeks before, and then picked maybe 1 or 2 spots are flexible. But this is the first time I've seen them just dump the team and everyone else, and they just put it like that. But yeah, it's just to me, it's bizarre. What other sport would a national team they just pick who they want?
Well, a lot of this comes back to this issue of the fact that we get funding in this country for bike racing. Well, okay, this is muddled anyway, but because it's all track-based and it's track performance-based, Oz Cycling just look at it and go, well, whatever. This is an opportunity for our track people, who are the people eventually who we get funding to get to perform. This is an opportunity to give them experience at a different level. The problem is there's this whole other part of the sport where it has all the participation. Like 90% of the participation is people riding their bikes out on the road and road racing, who are looking at it going, well, we'd like to do that.
I don't want to spend too much time on it. I just sort of, it flashed up and I was like, oh, that's shit. And I just wanted to bring it
shit.
Up. Yeah, it's really bad.
Shit, but it's predictable, mate. As you said you said to me last week about domestic stuff, just get over it, mate.
Yeah. We gotta have a time limit on these things, on these segments. So maybe we just leave that there.
Leave that there. Whilst we're talking about selection, I think we probably should talk a little bit about Zwift Academy.
Oh yeah, that one.
That one.
Okay. Did you watch the episode? No.
No.
You didn't watch it?
I didn't watch the whole from start to finish every episode. No.
You watched more than I did, because I didn't watch any of it. I still don't know why. Maybe because the episodes are so long. To sit there and watch a 25 or 20-minute episode.
So I really tried. I've been watching a little bit of reality shows with my daughter, Catherine, who's 9. And we're watching a bit of like The Amazing Races, The Survivors, all this kind of stuff. And we're kind of getting into it, getting around the characters. And I was like, let's sit down. We'll watch this together. It's in cycling, all the rest of it. Catherine will watch pretty much everything. We got 10 minutes in and we're just done. So I don't know what it was, the production of it, but yeah, it was particularly boring. I will probably add, mate, like we were biased in the sense that as soon as Cooper was kind of not in it anymore, I must admit I kind of clocked out. But yeah, I don't want to talk too much about the actual production. We talk enough about that on this channel. I want to talk about the result, not the winner. Justified, good on him. But he's gone and got a Conti contract.
Yeah, they've done this again. They did it last year.
Can you just explain this to people, please?
Okay. Now, he's got nothing to do with the women's side. They get women's contract, professional contract. Okay. Let me take my time with this. So, they advertise the Zwift Academy as winning a pro contract. It's in the title of the videos. For 2 years in a row, the men's winner hasn't gotten a pro contract. So they are joining the Alpecin development team, which is a continental team, which means there's no minimum salary. There's no guaranteed that person's going to get paid anything. And it's by definition, not professional. And it's annoying. It's annoying me. I think I would just basically put it like that. That I personally think it takes away a bit from the series. Like, we've been big fans of Zwift Academy. We've been big up in it pretty much every year. And now I'm just like, why are these riders fighting tooth and nail for not a professional contract.
Well, just you need to quickly state this because people might have missed what you basically said. So it's sold as a professional bike racing contract. The winner did not receive that.
No.
Correct.
Exactly. Okay. And I just find it almost, it's almost a bit, I don't know what the word is. It's almost fake. Scammy? Scammy? Fake? It's like we've got this whole production and get invested in all these riders, and then at the last minute, without actually saying anything, we're just not going to give them a spot on the pro team. It's
like you do Survivor, and then you win $1 million, and then the winner gets announced, and you go, actually, no, you won $250K.
Yeah.
It's like what?
You've won 1 million Survivor tokens.
Yeah, exactly. The opportunity to win $1 million maybe down the road. Yeah, like it's wild. Okay, we've discussed this a lot, you and I. All right. And I've said this in the beginning when we first started talking about this on the channel, I'm super cynical about the whole process. It's nothing to do with the rider. It's all about the reality television show because, as we know, Zwift pay for the whole thing. They even pay for the contract of the rider the following year.
Depends who, but that's a problem. Because you've got riders, like the riders are fighting sort of tooth and nail for something. Because Luke was saying, one of the other guys we managed the team was saying, well, does it really matter? Maybe there was no riders that were good enough to get on the pro team. So, maybe that's fair. I'm like, yeah, but it's a chicken and egg thing. If you don't offer the pro contract, if you don't really have a pro contract, why would someone waste? Because it's a big process to go through to do as a rider. Why would you waste that?
I'll be really interested to see the comments under this because I'll be interested to see if people are like, get over it, Chris and Jesse. Who cares? We watched it. This guy won. Just who cares about what the contract was? I'll be super interested to see. And if there is a lot of interest in it, we will follow it up because obviously, the guys, the Australian guys that went and did it, happy to follow it up with them about the experience that they had over there. Who cares?
All right. Here's my point on that then. I would say the level of commitment from the riders and the production doesn't match what you win because that contract is not really worth the shit. Well, relative to that, keep in mind. What I think they should do, if you're offering, and the other thing is, this is the other thing. For the Luca in Italy, for even the guys from Australia, you can get on a Conti team if you're good.
Yes.
You have access to that.
Yes.
Why do you need to go and do Zwift Academy to get a Conti contract? Any of the good riders here are already on the Conti teams. Take the Zwift Academy then to somewhere to give people that can't get on a Conti team access. Take it to Africa or somewhere where, okay, the show might not be as good, because, harder to produce and things like that. But at least the person that's going to win that is going to go, it's life-changing. For some bloke in Italy, if you were that good, you would have been on a Conti team. So I just, I think that's what really rubs me, is that it's not worth it for the guys that are getting on there.
Well, no, but you're going further than that. And I think that's an interesting point. I hadn't heard you say that, is that, well, okay, if you're just going to make it this dev team kind of opportunity thing, well then give it to someone who really can't have access to that. No offense to Cooper. Cooper's already at that level, already on a Conti team over there fighting for that. Yes, if he'd got on there, it would have been fantastic. But, he's not
It makes no
Nigeria.
sense. Well, it doesn't make sense. Why would Cooper fight for that to get on a development?
Correct.
You're already at that level, doing similar races.
Yeah.
I can go out and find the next Biniam Grimai. I don't know if people would want to watch it, but that would actually be a use of the contract.
Yep.
So
that's a good one, mate. Yeah. I'll hand you that one. So,
thank you.
So you're the bleeding heart lefty.
I'm just a man of the people. That's
you're the bleeding heart lefty. Fantastic. All right. So look, as I said, guys, let us know your thoughts. I am really interested to know in your thoughts on this one. Are we just carrying on about something no one cares about? Let us know down below.
Are we the first to call that out? I don't think anyone's called out that they're not actually offering a pro contract.
Well, I don't think Lantern Rouge is because he'll lose his...
sponsored by Zwift.
Sponsors.
Oh, you can't say.
Yeah, I don't think... to be fair, I don't think we were ever going to get a Zwift sponsorship, Jesse. But that's for other reasons. Let's keep chatting. Let's keep chatting because there's other things going on in the world that Mr. Patrick has spoken about, and I'd like to quickly bring it up. Is Tom Pidcock taking a certain KOM off a fellow YouTuber.
It blew up, didn't it? That was less than a week ago. I feel like it's already old news that we're
it probably
chatting
is
about it. Yeah,
probably is.
What do you reckon, Chris?
I love this. I love this.
Yep.
I don't know what the sort of online reaction is, but to me, okay, yeah, we gave Strava some shit the other week about its community thing, and I stand by all that, because what Strava's so cool at is the fact that, yeah, there we are on these databases, on these leaderboards with professionals, and that's the best part of Strava. So to me, yeah, I love this. I actually think Strava didn't make enough of this to me. Like, let's see more of this.
Definitely.
What do you think?
Yeah, I love it. To me, it's like, I think you were saying you listen to your American sports stuff. To me, this, like, having a rider in the preseason go out and just whack a com, it's kind of like an NFL draft thing, you know, where they do the dash.
Combines. Yeah.
They do the jumps and the dash and and it's like, it's almost a little taste of that. I love to see, and it's really relatable too, because everyone can go out and do a climb and be like, wow, they're like literally on a motorbike.
Yep.
So I was, the fact that he's gone out and done this and uploaded it and left the power data,
sick,
is like, what a guy. Yeah, winning over some fans.
So the KOM itself, do you know the numbers on it?
Yeah, the rumours were, I think it was 6.7 watts per kilo for 21 minutes or something like that.
So where does that stack him up? Like, is that Tade? Is that?
I didn't do that deep of an analysis. I was more interested from a training perspective, of the sense that he's like he's mid cyclocross season, barely in season, and he's whacking those sorts of numbers.
That's interesting.
It's pretty impressive. I mean, that's not the thing, is that's not going to move that much in season, because he's not training to whack 1 KOM at the start of a ride. It's totally different from the demands of what he's training for. But like, that's the level those guys just operate at year round.
But I think we were talking about this during the week. Like, we now kind of feel that, like, their numbers don't move that much throughout the year watts wise. It's actually the weight that seems to be the determining factor as to where they are in the season. Well, at least that's certainly reading between the lines of what Jay was talking about, is that, you know, his numbers won't fluctuate. It's when you really need to get down to a weight, that's your goal target, your race target, I should say.
Yeah, definitely. Well, he'd probably drop a bit of weight. Well, it's a bit different for him too, because he's doing cyclocross. If you took like the average pro and went them to do a 20-minute test in December, they would probably not have as good a time, but yeah, more reflective of what.
Now, do you want to quickly talk about this photo that you brought up of the Jumbo-Visma lads? I know you probably put this on your bedroom wall.
Yeah, this is, let me just take the poster down. So we've got Primoz on the right, we've got Wout, and we've got Jonas.
What am I looking at?
What are you looking at? It's everything, right? What are we looking at? First thing, look at the legs of Primoz and Jonas. We've got hairy legs here, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got full, proper mammal coating. It is... You're at team camp. You knew there were going to be photos taken. I just find it interesting that there's obviously pros that just stop shaving. I shave the legs year round. I'm a permanent hairless cat. Chris, I know you're on the laser protocol.
On the program.
But the World Tour pros just like to let it grow out. That was interesting. Nimble shoes as well. Look at that. New shoes for the team. Team-wide shoes as well. Big call to have a shoe sponsor for a team, given how much feet vary individually. I thought that was interesting. And look at this SRAM. Look how big the levers are. I mean, look what... Interesting. So the SRAM setup.
Do I notice some Oakley sunglasses there?
Oakley sunglasses. That's change. Primoz on the Kato game. And then the other boys on the Sutros.
Primoz is such a Hubbard.
I know he is, isn't he?
See his nose is sideways. It's Miller spec.
Oh, it is too.
He's such a Miller.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I will say just quickly on the so the shoe wide thing, they all ran Shimano shoes last year, and I do know Alpecin forced everyone to run the Shimano shoes as well. So it is a thing that people do. They will get them to do it. A lot of people ask me to review the Nimbles. I'm not going to review the Nimbles. They're just amazing shoes that are very, very expensive. So whatever, moving on.
They are on reserve wheels next year, so they're not running zips, which is interesting. So reserve is the Cervelo wheel company. They are also, a new SRAM was spotted. Did you see that?
I did see that.
Yeah,
yes.
so I just paid them out because the levers are so big. The new ones are smaller, thankfully. So we might see them running the new SRAM.
But that was won by?
No, on the Movistar women's team bike, there was a 2x.
Okay.
It looked like.
I just saw the cyclocross one, but yep.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, so it looks like I saw two different looking prototypes, so it looks like it's quite early on in the development, which is why the boys here are still on the old school. But yeah, love that photo. Cracker. No
GoPro mounts, very disappointing. I'll also add the helmet to sunglass gap, horrendous on Wout. Though I don't froth many things in pro cycling, but a Red Bull helmet, the things I would do. The things I would do. Yeah, so if anyone at Red Bull wants to contact me, I'm open. I'm very open to that.
Yes.
That is so sick. I absolutely love it. It's interesting. This brings up an interesting question without notice, Jesse. Who's the bike sponsor of this team?
Cervelo.
Now you know that, and I would argue that it's probably common knowledge amongst anyone who sort of kind of follows professional cycling. We talked about it a little bit earlier on about like SRAM getting involved and that kind of stuff. Would you say that Cervelo get more bang for its buck out of this sponsorship than a professional bike racing team by the name of Trek Segafredo?
Yes.
Because
unequivocal.
Okay. Let's talk about it. Yeah, what's going on with Trek?
Well, I honestly have no idea because I don't see. Maybe it's just an Australian thing, but Trek seems like it's dead. What, have you seen a new Trek Madone on the road?
No,
I haven't.
No,
haven't seen it. Would you buy a Trek? What's going on?
Okay, obviously I put that video up the other day, and it never even crossed my mind to talk about Trek.
I'd be interested to know. Money-wise, because they are the naming rights sponsor of Trek. How much money? I'd be interested to know how much money they put into being the naming rights sponsor of Trek, which doesn't seem to be doing much. And then Cervelo, who aren't a naming rights sponsor, are they putting in less than Trek are? For way they'd get way more bang for their buck.
But just like as a rule, like the brand to me, there was certainly a period of time where the brand was like. It was you. What's the right word? Like it was premium, but it was also it was the top. It was like you really trusted a Trek product. It was a go-to, for want of a better analogy. It was kind of like the Apple, sort of like it was good. You just knew it was going to work and be great and get you through and all the rest of it. I just feel like it doesn't have any place anymore. Do you know?
Do you reckon that's because the team sucks?
That's probably where I should have started this conversation.
I think it's because the team sucks.
Yeah.
They've only got, I'm probably going to piss people off, they've only got Mads Pedersen.
Yeah.
He's the only person that would sell a Trek bike. After Nibali left or racked it, wherever he's gone to, I feel like it's just, who rides for Trek? Name 5 riders on Trek Segafredo.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm in a struggle.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it because I hate being the person that kind of thinks that professional cycling has an impact in your brand. But I think with a brand like Trek, it has to. Yeah. I mean, okay.
I 100% think it does. Massive.
Peak Trek is Fabian Cancellara. Fabian Cancellara
peak Trek was Lance.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But But
no, I actually think like for the mass appeal, yes. But like just, the images of Spartacus skying over the Roubaix cobbles.
On the Damani.
That's frothable. Like it really is. And then Trek Leopold, when, the Schlecks are on there dancing up with Contador. I think Astana were on Treks at one point. Contador had them. Like just the pinnacle. And now I think they're struggling to be top five. Easily.
Yep.
So I don't know. Yeah. Let us know your thoughts, guys, down below. Where's Trek? Is it dead? Is it kicking? I'm toying with an idea of a segment, and I'm thinking
we need segments. We
clearly need segments. So I'm thinking Chris's Creators Corner, right? And I'm going to have a little scour across YouTube, across cycling YouTube, and see what's sort of popping, what's popping up in my feed, all that kind of stuff, right? And so I do want to give a shout this week out to someone I have spent a little bit of time with, Tyler, the vegan cyclist. He is bashing out some daily vlogs at the moment. And what I kind of really like about what he's doing, well, there's two things I like about it. So it's winter over there, so it's not out riding sort of stuff. So he's using a lot of the footage that he'd captured throughout the year. I don't know how he's done that, just quietly. I would explode my laptops. So I don't know. The logistics of this doesn't make sense to me. But he's, then reviewing some of the stuff that he did and using some of the races and the events that he did, and has gone back and used them as daily vlogs and reassessed them, re-looked at them. Found that really good. He's done some Q&As, which has been fantastic, and all the rest of it. But the thing that I have found quite interesting is he's also starting an apparel label. Okay, and he's distributing it out of his warehouse down the road, and he's kind of documenting that daily vlog style about how that's kind of building. And I'm really interested in this because essentially, like, this is where this channel almost started, but it was kind of cart before the horse because I started an apparel label and then went, I'll use a YouTube channel to try and promote that, which didn't work. But he's doing the other way. He's got the YouTube following, and now he's trying to do an apparel label. So I don't know if there's anything you've got to add on that, but I'm just want to give him a shout. And I do want to have a little bit of a segment. I will try and have a look across what's going on YouTube and bring it to people's attention.
I haven't watched his videos for a while. I watched a few of his daily ones. Must have been from some of those Train Like a Pro ones. I think they were good just because you felt like you learned something. Even if it was just you didn't learn like a lesson, but you learned something about his take on something. I always find kind of, especially if you're watching daily vlogs and it's committing a lot of time. You want to feel like you're a better human being from having watched it. I feel like he did a good job of, you kind of leave it. You're like, oh, that was, his take on something. And you actually feel like you're better having watched him.
He made a comment in one of his Q&A videos, which was, the mainstream media completely ignore him, right? So Velo News, cycling tips, all that kind of stuff, the mainstream cycling media pretend like he doesn't exist.
I feel like they do that. They do that for most of the...
All of them.
All of the
and
people online.
This is what I find really interesting. It's like, even in our tiny little bubble that we had here, we would have a decent enough kind of little YouTube channel that was promoting a team, and it never got mentioned by any of the mainstream media that we were using this platform, like this, as a way of trying to promote the team. I don't know. And
that was, I mean, I guess that's quite small, but that's, I think, why, you remember 2 months ago, Cycling Tips reshared Tristan's, the mountain bike race he did, and it was like, what is going on? It was like madness that they'd shared that.
BMC paid for that, correct?
Oh, wait, so because he rides fill the blanks in for me there. So
so it was content that BMC sponsored, and BMC, instead of putting, and I think this is great, I will point out, this is what brands should be doing. Big supporter of it. Please correct me down below in the comments if I'm wrong, but BMC rightfully supported him to do that, and therefore, instead of BMC plastering an image of their bike, old school kind of ad, they're like, well, we've got this great ad because this cool Australian dude went and did a race, and let's use that as our ad. So that's awesome. Good on him, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. Yeah, right. But but what you're kind of getting is just probably doesn't happen. Well, why do they need it?
Well, I mean, his argument, which is like, Cycling Tips do an article about what's the most popular race gel at the Giro, or like there's a lot of fluff content on there, mate. There is a heap of fluff.
Right. Yeah.
And his kind of thing is, well, hang on, I just went and did this like impossible route thing. It's like got all this like 30 minutes of footage, this huge viewership. You know, just say, you know, vegan cyclist rides across France with all of the old thing. I mean, it's easy content for them, but they will not use it. And my take on it is, why? It's just, well, it's okay. Why? My take is, number one, they don't know what to do with it. Number two, they're really, really scared of it. So they're...
Would it be like removing eyeballs from there? Like, I mean, maybe it's a short... Is that a true... If they're scared, or well, if we promote this other media type...
I think they're just... If they're afraid of the unknown, would be my take. Yeah, they're afraid of the unknown and what it might snowball to. And finally, I think it's jealousy. I do. I think it's those journalists who don't really... Sorry, most of them don't understand anything to do about cycling, and they just don't get it. And so if something they don't get, they won't touch.
I guess it is. I mean, we're talking about it, so it is new. Yeah, I guess it is news. I mean, if 500,000 people watch a YouTube cycling video, that's way more eyeballs than reporting on some race somewhere that 10,000 people know about. They'll
share the quick step behind the scenes video on YouTube that they do of a bike race, which will end up getting like 18,000 views, whereas his event in Boulder, Colorado will get 200,000 views, and they won't sort of even acknowledge it. So yeah, I don't know. I think there's something coming there, and it's probably one of the reasons why we didn't talk about the cycling tips redundancy things, because I think potentially you and I had a different take on it than the rest of humanity, but we'll leave that lie, hey? Yeah, all right. So let us know down below, guys. Chris's Creators Corner. It's a mouthful. Say that 3 times quickly. Is there a future in it? Let us know some ideas. And Jesse needs a segment as well. So come up with some ideas.
I was going to do a segment on like the best YouTube comments from the show before, but that means I hate YouTube comments. It means I'd have to go in and read them all. So I'm like, no, that's a terrible, it's a crap idea. So I'll have a think, something regular. Because on some of the shows or podcasts I watch, sometimes if it's done right, the segments are like the best part of the show. Sometimes it's not. It's a bit you skip.
Like this.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, like if it's like Chris's Corner, you skip it. If it's like Jesse's whatever, then you tune in for. So
there'll be t-shirts.
We'll keep trying.
There'll be t-shirts, Chris's Corner. The other week we talked about some of our highs and lows of 2022. I've asked 2 mechanics. That's quite a few. I kind of thought what their highs and lows were, and I just want to quickly say what those 2 were. The first high that came back from Mechanic 2022 was in relation to the Shimano's 12-speed disc brake group set, and that the disc brake bleeding process now with that new group set is exceptionally easy, and it's exceptionally good. From a mechanic's perspective, working in a shop, working on these things regularly, that has been massive. So shout to them for doing that. The other is a wheel set. The Bora WTO, new WTO wheels have what's called a hidden nipple. But it's a hidden nipple which you can actually adjust from the outside. So anytime they do go out of true, you don't have to then go and remove. So it's aerodynamically great because it's the nipple's not out.
Because you can easily access.
Correct. The nipple. And you don't then have to take the tire off, do all that kind of stuff if there's any problems with it. That's
direct nipple access.
Direct nipple
without
access.
taking the top off. Good.
There you go. Just
I like it.
I managed to get through most of that with a straight face. Yes.
We were on the Boras, because on those wheels, the nipple was behind the U shape of the rim, and then it was a no rim tape job. So there was, I don't know how you actually, it was almost like just throw the wheel out, because yeah, that was brutal.
Well, that's when we break a spoke. Remember when that was the start of the component world shutdown, because I remember who had Dylan. Dylan had one broken spoke. It took 7 months. was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the beginning of the meltdown, hey?
So they fixed it. Good.
Yeah.
Very good.
All good.
Okay, thanks for watching, guys. Just quickly, yes, for those who were listening to the podcast, like, what's changed? We are currently on a bike to do this outro. Just quickly, thank you so much for 2022. We really enjoyed doing these. We want to continue growing it, continue building it, and we're really appreciating your support. JC, anything to add?
Nothing to add. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
I'll drop a link to the podcast down below and all the shows we have done so far. Merry Christmas, everyone. He's creeping. It's great.
Shut up.